Hello and good evening to us all. My name is Eric Nyako, and I want to welcome all those participating in this special recall meeting of the Shannon Waters Regional Council of the United Church of Canada. I am the president of the Regional Council, and on screen with me is Reverend Jody McBee, the Regional Staff Lead, who is representing Peter Hartman, the Executive Minister for both Shannon Waters Regional Council and the Canadian Shield Regional Council. As we begin, I ask that you please turn off your video and microphone. And if you are on phone, please put yourself on mute. It is with gratitude that we acknowledge the gift of Creator and give thanks to the nations who for thousands of years have cared for this land, the Anishinaabe, Aldani, Holy Wendat, Ojibwe, Mississaugas of the Credit, and the Métis and other nations who arrived later. Those of us in the region who are non-Indigenous honor and respect this land on which we are settlers. We give thanks to all life that the land supported before and after settlers arrived. In keeping with the dish with one spoon covenant to share and care, Shannon Waters Regional Council strive to live and minister in a spirit of peace, friendship, and respect, and to build equitable relationships with all those with whom we share the land. We are treaty people, and we also acknowledge that some of the land we are unceded. May we as a region honor all our relationships and answer the call to actively live in peace and harmony. The first call in our regional mission statement is to live in right relation with Indigenous peoples and respond positively and meaningfully to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission calls to action and the caretakers of our Indigenous circle calls to the church. The second is to become an anti-racist church. We strive to make this meeting and all gathering of the Shannon Waters Regional Council a safe space for people of all abilities, any sexual orientation and gender identity, racialized persons, and all others who are marginalized and have been excluded and harmed by the church in any way best known to us all. Let's take a moment together in prayer. Lord, lead us through this meeting. Amen. Friends, at this time, I'll invite Dan Matheson to help orient us to how we will be gathered together at this meeting.
Thank you, President Eric, and good evening, friends. My name is Diane Matheson Jimenez. I use she, her pronouns, and I am privileged to serve Shining Waters Regional Council and Canadian Shield Regional Council, supporting communities of faith. This evening, I want to help us orient ourselves to this online meeting. So first, some practical logistical pieces. I would ask you to take a moment to double check that your name is complete and correct. So if right now your Zoom name says Diane's iPad, I would ask you to alter your name so that your first and last name are as they appear on the registration list. If you are a voting delegate, so ministry personnel or a lay rep that has been voted in by your community of faith, all you need is your name. If you are not a voting member, if you, like me, just really love processes and wanted to hang out this evening, I would ask you to please put a Z in front of your name so that we can distinguish between voting and non-voting representatives this evening. If at any time you want to ask a question or to speak to a motion, I would ask you to use the reaction button on Zoom to raise your virtual hand to ensure that you can be called on in a timely fashion. At this point, I don't believe we have anyone joining on phone, so we can skip over that. The chat box is going to be open this evening in case you would like to ask a question or make a comment and you don't necessarily feel comfortable raising your hand to speak that into the plenary. So if you have a question or if you'd like to make a comment on one of the motions, the opportunity is for you to either raise your virtual hand or to use the chat. The chat will also be used if you need to raise a point of order. So if something happens that is offside, it takes away from the procedure of what we are about. I would ask you to please raise that in the chat to one of my colleagues, either Melody Duncanson-Hales or Kim Uidi Kai. If you have tech challenges this evening, I would ask you to please connect with my colleague Donna. Donna's name appears as Tech Support Donna, so that's how you can connect with her. When the time comes, President Eric will present a motion to us and will invite questions. If you would like to raise a question or to make a comment at the appropriate time, I would ask you to, again, use the reaction function to raise your virtual hand or to type your question or comment into the chat. If you have your hand up and the president calls on you, I would ask you to unmute your microphone, at which point you will have 90 seconds to raise your question or to speak. At the discretion of the president, your time may be extended if appropriate. If we are unable to hear all of the questions and comments in the time that's been allocated, President Eric and Staff Lead Jody will determine whether to extend the discussion or to proceed to the vote. Before we move into the meeting, I would invite us to take a moment and just take a deep breath in. This is a time that my colleague and friend Melody refers to as Mad Vent, because it is beautiful and chaotic and full and exhausting. And a regional meeting right smack dab in the middle of that is all of those things too. I would ask Celio if you could please share the brave slide. In this time of beauty and of discernment and anticipation and expectation, I would invite us to intentionally be in this virtual space brave by being accountable for the impact of our words and our silences, by reflecting on and naming the biases that we bring to the table, by actively listening to one another, to our own spirit, and to the movement of spirit in and amongst us, by vocalizing questions that arise from our learning, and by encountering new ideas with curiosity and with wonder. May it be so. Thank you, Celio. I will now turn it over to President Eric to constitute our meeting.
In the name of Jesus Christ, head of the church, and by the authority conferred on me by the 10th meeting of Shining Waters Regional Council, I hereby declare this 11th meeting of Shining Waters Regional Council to be in session for the work that may properly be brought before it to the glory of God. I offer thanks to David Leighton Brown, who will serve as our parliamentarian tonight. As we are aware, we have 2 agenda items for consideration. The recommendations coming from the review of ministry and funding priorities and the draft 2026 budget. We will begin with the review of ministry and funding priorities. At our meeting on October 23rd to 24th this year, we accepted a report from the review of ministry and funding priorities. We postponed the discussion on the recommendations up to 2 months and asked the executive to provide financial reporting to support the decision-making process at a special meeting. Friends, this is the special meeting. Before we hear from the ad hoc committee, I invite the Reverend Jody McVie to present the financial report. The committee thought it would be helpful to understand our financial context before considering recommendations from the review of ministry and funding priorities. We will consider the 2026 draft budget after we make decisions on the recommendation.
Thank you, President Eric. I am going to start the financial report tonight by talking about our current investment portfolio. And so I'm just going to share my screen. And so this is our investment portfolio. You can see that on the left-hand side as of November 30th. And so we have cash in a high interest savings account in our investments of just over $1 million. And then in actual investments, both short and long term, of just over 12 million. And that gives us a total investment portfolio of $13,491,320. Dollars. And so that's a very robust investment portfolio that we have right now. And I just want to remind you, our regional fund right now is capped at $6 million, and you'll see that on the right side under designated funds. The Finance Committee recommended as part of the review, and we'll be considering later tonight, that we increase that cap to 10 million. So as part of the review year, the Finance Committee recommended and the executive agreed that we would not disperse any funds in excess of that regional fund until the review had been completed and the decisions had been made. So I just wanted to just also point out that we have a regional fund cap right now of 6 million, and we're at cap. We have an Indigenous Ministries fund of 1 million, and we're at cap for that. Our Archives fund has just under 400,000, and our Student Bursary Fund has just over 8,650, and that includes the very generous offering that was at our Celebration of Ministry service in October. The new designated fund that you see there, we're calling the Jubilee Fund for Grants. This is a portion of funds that we received from the amalgamation of Jubilee and Forest Grove United Churches. They had a surplus in their property needs of just over $2.6 million, which came to the region. And under our property policy, those funds are designated for grants. So we're so grateful to the newly amalgamated Jubilee congregation for sharing so generously with the wider regional council. And you'll see in the budget that some of that money is already being earmarked to be used for grants now, which is why there's just the 1.8 million. And just so you know, we also expect surplus funds to come in the next year from the amalgamation of Cummer Ave United Church and Bayview United Church. So again, we're very grateful for the generosity of our congregations in thinking about their neighbors. And so that gives us a total in our designated funds of just over 9 million. But if we anticipate the increase in the cap on the regional fund to become 10 million, you'll see that our designated funds and what we have in reserves are actually very similar. So I just wanted to bring this to your attention. Now we have a long way to go to build up the Community Ministries Fund that we've committed to for $10 million, and to ensure that we have a sufficient capital to support our new funding that we're hoping to approve tonight. But certainly we are well underway to do this. I'm going to stop sharing this so that I can move on now to the financial report. And so I'm just getting that up on my screen, and then I can share that. So this is the financial report that was included with the 5-year with the budget projection. And part of the reason I wanted to start with the reserves is because I want to draw attention to the investment income. You'll see that we had budgeted in 2025 just over 500,000. We've actually taken just over 800,000, but that is all investment income. And I think it shows the potential when we have a robust investment of capital for the potential for a sustainable income source, which is the goal of our finance committee, and it was identified in the regional review as a key priority to have sufficient funds to be able to support the work of the region and the robust granting program we want to have. So I just want to highlight that that we're working towards that in a really positive way. I also want to note, if you look down at the transfer from reserves here at the bottom, you'll see that there are no transfer from reserves, meaning we have not yet needed to access capital from our investments in 2025. So that's a really positive thing too, because that's ultimately our goal, is to not have to deplete the capital, but to be able to fund both regional ministry and grants without touching that capital. So I think that's a good news start to our story. Going down into our expenses, I want to highlight just a couple of things. You'll see here committees. You'll see that we had budgeted $1,000 and we have actually spent almost $5,000, which is significantly over budget. And the reason for that is that the nominations committee asked us to do a campaign to promote the need to fill a number of vacancies. And so I'm going to shift to our nominations page. Diane, can you nod if you can see that? Okay, thanks. And so we commissioned a number of little videos highlighting the work of our commissions and committees and our executive. And I think what was really key about this was we didn't just talk about, well, we deal with the environment, or we deal with loans. We have members of the commissions and committees telling us why the work is meaningful to them and why it's significant to the church. And so I really encourage folks, there's a number of these videos on our nominations website, and I really encourage you, if you have any interest in being involved in the wider church, please go and have a look at these videos and give consideration to these roles, because these are people who are speaking from their heart, and genuinely, it's wonderful work to be engaged in. So I strongly encourage you to consider that. The other piece that I want to highlight from our expenses this year is the work of our 4 commissions. And that's what you see listed here under commissions: communities of faith, intercultural diversity, pastoral relations, and social and ecological justice. And so just to highlight some of the work that's being funded by our commissions, the work that's being done by our commissions, the Communities of Faith Commission, the majority of the spending for them has been education and events. So our really popular Let's Connect website series is funded through their Commission, and also some small grants that I'm going to show you in just a moment after I go through the 4 commissions. The Communities of Faith Commission also have separate budget lines for affirming ministries, faith formation, and youth. So all of this important work is supported through the funds of the Communities of Faith Commission. The Intercultural Diversity Commission also funds a number of education opportunities and events, particularly significant for ethno-specific ministries in our region. And we have quite a few. And so it's wonderful that there's an opportunity for them to gather and be in community. Another significant piece of work for that commission is resource development and getting key United Church resources translated into some of the other languages that are spoken in our region. And they also offer grants and more about that in a minute. PRC, which is the Pastoral Relations Commission, they support the important work of the ministers in our regional council. They do this through a clergy retreat, through programming that supports health, joy, and excellence for clergy, gatherings for retired clergy. They also fund the work of pastoral charge supervisors and pastoral relations liaisons. And they have a separate budget line you'll see for sabbatical grants. And then our 4th commission is the Social and Ecological Justice Commission. And so that is the work that they support is in social justice and ecological justice. They fund our participation in the Social Justice Network of Ontario Regional Councils. And they also offer some grants. So I'm going to, at this time, move to our grants and funding page. This is a page that's available on our website, and I encourage folks to go to it. And one of the things that we heard in the review was about the importance of communicating funding opportunities. And for some of our grants, we've done that fairly well, and others really not so much. So this is a commitment we're really trying to make going forward, is to make this information much more accessible. So you'll find on our grants page, we have a growth grant with funds that have been provided by the growth department of the General Council, and several of our congregations have been able to take advantage of that. We have grants available. These are just small amounts, but they make a difference in enabling folks to access. So we offer grants, small grants for cluster events and collaboration, exploring collaboration. Key one for lay leaders and lay-led congregations, a small grant for folks who want to attend educational opportunities. A few folks took advantage of that to go to the Festival of Faith this year. And then to support congregations who want to make faithful property decisions. So those are all available through the Communities of Faith Commission. Now, the other 3 commissions grants are available on their pages, but we've put a link to it here on the grants page to try and create one-stop shopping for folks. So you can see all of the opportunities. So we've got the sabbatical grant, a link to the sabbatical grants if your minister is going on a sabbatical and you'd like some support to fund that. The Intercultural Diversity Commission with their grants for intercultural initiatives by communities of faith, and the Social and Ecological Justice Commission, a big part of their budget, supports grants for social justice, ecological justice, and a program they call Leading from the Heart, which is youth and young adult specific. And then if you continue on down, you'll see that there's all sorts of other information about funding opportunities that you can access. So we really encourage folks to take a look at that web page. The last thing I want to highlight from our expenses is our grants from M&S and regional regional grants. So we receive a grant from the Mission and Service Fund for $180,000, and all of that money is used towards our existing granting program. And then we have the money that you saw referenced as coming from the interest from the investments, we support some grants as well. So in 2025, just let me scroll down a bit here. In 2025, we had 219,000 from our regional budget to support grants. And again, I'm going to go to our regional finance page on the website so that you can see there all of the grants that are approved by our Grants and Mission Support Committee. And so you see that the mission and service grants went to a number of ministries within our region, the Abiona Center, Comer Avenue, a couple of our community ministries, hospice in Muskoka. And down under regional council grants, you'll see what our funds from our budget supported. Several of the camps and some outreach ministries. And then you'll notice that there are two other categories of grants. We are very fortunate to partner with both the Presbyteries of Toronto Conference Corporation and Toronto United Church Council. And so we receive grant applications that we then our executive approves to forward to them, and they provide some funding for that as well. This year, we're estimating that we will be requesting almost $600,000 in grants from the regional fund at the PTCC. That includes both annual interest income and up to 5% of the capital grants. And PTCC is able to maintain a robust capital ongoing even while supporting these grants. So we're very grateful for their support. And then the Toronto Southeast Presbytery Major Capital Fund at Toronto United Church Council, we're very grateful to receive funds from that towards ministries in our regional council as well. So it's just really wonderful that we're able to partner. And I will note that for the past several years, the grants that have been given to ministries are all ministries that we have a current or a historical relationship with, and they're ministries that were identified as priorities by the former presbyteries. And we did hear in the review that we need to maintain the commitment to supporting community ministries and missions and outreach ministries, and also camps and programs for children, youth, and young adults. But those grants need to be more accessible. So the Grants and Mission Support Committee has heard that and is working towards an open process for 2026. So going forward, it will be open to any ministry to apply. So I want to conclude by just offering thanks to a couple of my colleagues, Miranda McKenzie, who's our bookkeeper and who manages all of our finances on your behalf, and Kathleen Jones, who administers our grants program. Two really significant pieces of work. And I also want to offer thanks to our finance committee. I both appreciate and am challenged by them at times, but they offer a lens of both stewardship and financial responsibility to our financial management, which is really key. And to the Grants and Mission Support Committee, faithful folks who really care about the ministry that is happening both locally and regionally, beyond their own congregation to the ministries that we see on the screen here. And they want to see it funded and supported. And so I'm just going to scroll down to the bottom of the page, and you can see the names of all the folks who are on these committees. And I encourage you, if you know any of them, to offer your thanks, because they do really, really special work. And that's my report, President.
Thank you very much, Reverend Jody. If there are any questions about the financial report, please raise your virtual hand or type them in the chat. There will be a period of 90 seconds limit for each speaker. Please pay particular attention to the timer on screen. The time may be extended where the circumstances demands that. So please do well. I see George, Isaac, and Donford. Let's go in that order. George, then Don.
Yes, thank you. Jody mentioned at one of our regional meetings that we had a $36 million property trust fund, which was for long-term sustainable income. And that's never mentioned and what's never described and so forth. So I would like an accounting of what that really means. I'm a little concerned that the region is in a position to make money. We're making money. We literally are. And I don't think we should be doing that. And I also wonder whether we're making money off low-income people, because I think we're also doing that. So I think we need some accountability for the property trust fund and what we're doing with our much wider amount of money we have. We have up to $80 million according to the Canada Revenue site. And where is it? What's it being used for?
So thanks, George. Actually, I'm glad you mentioned that because I did mean to speak about the regional trust. I will note though that at the meeting in October, you were saying we had 58 million according to Canada Revenue, which is more in keeping with our audited financial statements. So I think it is closer to 50, between 52 and 58. But I will just share that. So the regional trust was created in 2023. Uh, the executive was involved in giving direction on that. We are partnering with the United Property Resource Corporation and Kindred Works, which is the development branch of that. And we are doing this in line with the United Church's commitment to providing affordable housing, and also to our desire to create a long-term sustainable income source to support the ministry of the both the region and hopefully granting. So I'm just going to share my screen again. Here's the, so this is the information that's taken directly from our audited financial statements. And you can see these are the promissory notes. So what happens? So first of all, the first two with TUCC, those are investments in the Investing in Ministry Fund of TUCC that as a regional council, we inherited when those two congregations closed, Painswick and Countryside. And the regional council decided to leave the money invested in that fund because it's an important fund to support capital work of congregations, and we thought it was good for the regional council to support that. The ones underneath that, starting with Church of the Master, those are the properties that we have put into the regional trust. So once they go into the regional trust, they are either being held for development to provide both low-income housing and affordable housing, and also to maintain the possibility of future sites for ministry and community space. And so you can see beside them the valuation for each of those properties when they were placed into the regional trust, and that is the value of our contribution to the regional trust at this time. At the bottom, you'll see the accrued interest, and we'll talk more about this when we talk about the budget. But basically, in each promissory note, we are we receive annual interest on each of the properties that's in the trust, but that money doesn't come out to us right now. It is reinvested into the trust towards the work of the development because we have to. It requires money to do that work as well. I can't speak to your point about whether we are making money off of low-income folks. We are providing housing, which I think is a priority of both the United Church and Shining Waters, recognizing the significant need for housing in a number of our communities. And so we're honoring that commitment. We are making money from, well, not yet. We won't make money from the development on for a while, for a number of years yet, which is why it's so important that we have other sources of income as well. But it's not to make a large profit. It's to have money to support the ministry in the same way that local churches have to do rentals and have to do fundraising and donations, because you have to support your local ministry. The regional council has to support the ministry of the council and also support our granting processes. So that's the long-term goal. We're looking 15 years out. We hope to start to receive some funds from the development within a few years, but this is a long-term vision that I think lines up really nicely with toward 2035. So I don't know if it's probably not answered your question as thoroughly as you would like, but it's what I am able to offer at this time.
Thank you very much, Reverend Jody, for the clarification. I believe it's well stated. Don.
Thank you. So I've got a bit of a headache today. I'll do my best. And I may have missed something in your overview there, Jody, but I noticed something, and I think that's from that trust fund. There's an income line that's in the budget but not realized yet, and it's probably because it comes at the end of the year. But it was a large number. I recall seeing $12 million or something.
I think you're talking about 2 million. No, sorry, 1,681,000.
A number right almost at the very bottom of your spreadsheet.
And are you talking about in the financial?
Yes, in the financial report.
As opposed to the budget?
Yes. I'm just curious, that may be income not yet received from the trust or something.
Well,
like
so
that.
so as I was mentioning, yeah, we do, according to the promissory notes, we do receive annual interest income from the trust, except it isn't being pulled out of the trust at this time. It's being reinvested. And so I'm seeing it in the budget. I'm just not seeing it in the financial statement. But what we show it as income, but it's in our audited financial statements. It's an account receivable. It's not money that we've actually received at this time, but we're tracking it.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
All right, and we have Victoria.
I want to discuss 2 items. One is the nature of the regional trust. The regional trust was established, I think, long about 2023. Understanding the nature of the regional trust, and for example, St. Luke's has transferred its property into the regional trust. That won't show on this year, that'll be shown in next year. I don't think that the plenary understands well what the nature of that trust is, how it goes out over 15 years for development projects, how the money is tracked from the complex agreements with Kindred to then have how much comes back and what happens. And that's not for tonight, but it is something that is not well done and not transparent, and understanding that trust is not an easy matter, but it's a long-term development project. And you have to understand that this is tied up with what Kinryd is doing and then ties up. What I don't get is, for example, if you've got Wexford coming on track at a given point, where is the split then as to how much goes and stays with the region and how much goes back to Wexford and what they're doing?
Sorry,
Thank you,
sorry.
Thank you, Victoria. I think you raised a really good point that it would be good to perhaps have a more dedicated time to talk about the regional trust. And because you're right, it is very complex. And especially now as congregations are also looking at putting property into the trust,
Yes.
we need to understand how that's going to benefit them. So thank you for that. And we will definitely follow up and arrange for an opportunity for folks in the regional council to hear more about that and have conversation about that. Thank you.
We have Melody.
Hi, Chair Eric. I just want to draw the court's attention to questions that are in the chat. The first from Charles Donnelly. Does investment income include realized or unrealized capital gains? And the second from Gail Burkett. Do you have visions for our investments to sustain congregations or just regional council? So I'm hoping
Thank
that,
you.
yeah,
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm going to have to rely on Miranda. I'm hoping that you can give us some wisdom on Charles' question. I will speak for Gail. Certainly, our hope is to build up a really robust granting process from our investments. So not to sustain the operational expenses of congregations locally through regional investments, but absolutely to provide funds to support local congregations. And oh, there she is. Hello, Miranda.
Hi. So we do recognize realized and unrealized gains, but not until the end of the year.
Thank you. Very grateful to have you on side when I need you to call on you.
Any other question or contribution? So, Reverend Jody, do you want to add something, or we can move on?
No, I think we can move on. Thank you very much, President.
Thank you very much. At this time, I invite members of the ad hoc committee to turn on your cameras and unmute yourselves. We will consider the recommendations in three groups. First, the recommendations related to the priority number 1, which is support to congregations. Then the recommendations related to priority number 2, which is support to community ministries, mission and outreach ministries. Then the last recommendation, which relate to priority number 3 through 6, the report from the review and supporting documents for tonight's meeting. They are available as we saw on the website.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you're all doing very well. My name is Daniel Reed, part of the ad hoc committee. On the topic of the support for congregations, we'll be dealing with that in 2 parts. The latter part will be the non-funding based recommendations related to congregational support. At our presentation to the fall regional council meeting, there was a lot of conversation about the funding-based components of our recommendations around financial support, and so we wanted to begin with that, and we anticipate that we'll likely be spending the majority of our time dealing with that question. So I'll talk about that the funding-based recommendations a little bit, and then I'll pass things over to my colleague, Sarah. So I'd like to speak primarily about the principles guiding our congregational funding program, and we've named 7 of them. When we were preparing for tonight's presentation and the recommendations that we're bringing to all of you this evening, we appreciated the request from the Fall Regional Council meeting to bring forward a sense of the process for the new funding to congregations that we were recommending the region engage in. And you'll see some of the details of that process this evening. Our task group was created with the mandate to engage the congregations and incorporated ministries of the region in a priority setting process and to bring forward some recommendations about that. And we are ultimately, we're bringing a proposal and a vision to this body tonight. But the actual work of implementing that vision will need to be taken up by the Executive and the Communities of Faith Commission and the Grants and Mission Support Committee and the Finance Committee and so on. But we wanted to give to those bodies an overview of the principles for the congregational funding program that we had heard lifted up from all of you, both in our review process and at the Fall Regional Council meeting. So we have named 7 of them that will be passed on to those bodies, that the congregational funding program be transparent, be accessible, be invitational, be extensively marketed, be strategic, be accountable, and be prayerful. With respect to transparency, we are recommending that the program operate with openness in process and decision-making, that the application criteria, eligibility requirements, timelines, all be clearly communicated, the decisions be shared in a way that demonstrates fairness and accountability. With respect to accessibility, we're recommending that the program be structured to encourage broad participation from congregations of varying sizes, capacities, contexts across the region, including a combination of rural and urban ministries, both individual congregations as well as clusters and collaborative ministries, and that the application materials be clear and concise, as simple as possible, with staff and volunteer support to assist applicants through the process. With respect to being invitational, we are recommending that regional staff and volunteers be empowered to invite congregations into a process of discernment and renewal that might lead to a funding application. With respect to being extensively marketed, we are recommending that the program be actively and consistently promoted through multiple channels, email, social media, twice yearly workshops to inform congregations of funding opportunities, and the website, that the marketing will highlight both opportunities and success stories. With respect to being strategic, that the funds will be awarded in alignment with clearly defined priorities and desired outcomes, that resources will be focused on specific initiatives in congregations that demonstrate potential for ministry impact, sustainability, and alignment with regional and denominational goals. That the program will include, with respect to accountability, that the program will include clear expectations for reporting, including financial statements, evaluation, and follow-up. And with respect to prayer, that the decision-making will be rooted throughout in prayerful and reflective discernment, seeking to align financial decisions with the movements of the Spirit and the ministry of the Church. All of those, as we think through the process, we're offering those up to you for your deliberations as the foundational principles that will undergird all of the work of implementation that is to follow. Sarah, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Thanks, Daniel. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. I appreciate you taking the time to be here. I'm Sarah Law, and I'm from Bondhead United Church. I'm a volunteer layperson here on the ad hoc committee. And so where we're going to go with this is we're presenting that we would have a pilot project for 2026, which means we would have this for 2026, and then it would be assessed at the end, and maybe adjusted before it's implemented for 2027. The amount of funds that would be available to be granted would be $300,000 in 2026. The amount of the individual grants would be up to $10,000. And the process for applying for a grant. So the granting process is, as Daniel explained, we're going to use the existing committees that are already in place. So, and just in case all of this is a lot of talking, all this paperwork is all available on the website, on the Shining Waters website. So on the page that was for this meeting, all the links are there for all this. So we have, and I will correct something regarding the grant application process. So the forms are also on the site. So the process will be, and for this grant application process, they will go to the Grants and Mission Support Committee. And the June will be when the applications are available for the following year. And that's how it works for granting for the grants and mission support. So for this one, for our pilot project, in January, so in January 2026, the applications will be available for 2026. And then in April, we will receive, and I say we, the Grants and Mission Support Committee will receive, Kathleen will receive your applications. We have simplified the application greatly. We've listened to you in that regard. And so it's quite a simple application. It's not extremely complicated. It's not onerous. And so we hope that that will work for you. So the applications will be reviewed by the Grants and Mission Support Committee. So the existing group that already approves and reviews grants. In May, the members of the committee will meet with applicants either in person or by Zoom, depending on what is ever more convenient for everybody. And usually they'll ask you questions about your application. In June, the committee will decide on the recommendations, and those will be sent to the Communities of Faith Commission. They won't be sent to the executive. So they'll be sent to the Communities of Faith Commission for evaluation or approval. So they'll be recommended, basically. The Grants and Mission Support normally sends them to the executive, but in this particular case, they'll be sending it to the Communities of Faith Commission, and that will be corrected up on the website. So in June, at some point, the Communities of Faith Commission will approve the grant recommendations, and the grant recipients will be notified. We also have provided for exceptional circumstances. We realize that there are exceptional circumstances, and so requests for capital project grants can be considered throughout the year and through the remainder of the year. So not just in April for that submission, but anytime throughout the year for a capital grant. Have I missed anything, anybody? No. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You have heard the presentation on the priority number 1, that is support for congregations. We will now consider the first 2 motions related to this priority. It is moved by Sarah Lowe and seconded by Daniel Will that Shining Waters Regional Council establish a pilot granting program in the year 2026 for congregations within Shining Waters to access program grants and capital grants of up to 10,000. Such program to follow the funding principles and application process as circulated with a budget of up to 300,000 to come from the Jubilee designated fund, and that the pilot granting program be evaluated and refined into an ongoing program for the year 2027. Do we have the motion? Yes, if you have a question or wish to speak to the motion, please raise your hand or type it in the chat. There will be a 90-second limit for each speaker. Please pay attention to the timer on screen. We might extend it when deemed necessary. However, let's try and respect the time. I see Robin, Kim, and George. So permit me to start with Robin.
Hi there. Thank you very much for taking my question. My name's Robin Pilkey. I'm a lay rep from Runnymede United. I'm not clear, and perhaps the committee can explain what's different about this fund than other funds and other application processes, because I'm not clear why this one is different than the one where you apply for PTCC or any of the others. So could there be some clarification about what's particularly new about this fund versus other ones that are available? And I'm under 90 seconds.
Thank you. Is the team responding, Daniel, or we should finish it and
I think
we'll sum it up?
then they can speak at the end, yeah.
All right. Then to Kim.
Thank you, President. There are 2 questions in the chat, one from Sandy Giles Byrne. In principles guiding the funding, number 3 mentions alignment with broader ministry priorities. Does this mean deep spirituality, bold discipleship, and daring justice from towards 2035? That's the first question. The second question in the chat is from Ross Carson. Is a capital grant limited to $10,000?
Thank you. And to George.
Yeah, I just want to make a couple of comments. One is that the $300,000 is just a drop in the bucket. Many congregations are under financial stress, and a maximum of $10,000 with an overall limit of $300,000 is not acceptable. And there's also a rider that the funds cannot be used for operating expenses. One of the real crises is that we can't afford to pay our ministers. Can we pay a minister out of this fund? Thank you.
Thank you. We have Bob.
Hi, good evening. Just a quick question for the capitals grant. If we do apply for the capital grant, we have a project that's fairly large. It would be well more than $10,000. Would we be able to proceed with that project and at the same time apply for the grant, or is it necessary for us to wait to hold back on that project until we get a response back from the grant?
All right, thank you. And Kim.
There's one more question in the chat from Lisa Walter, Bloor Street United Church. The dollar cap is, in my view, way too low. I think 50,000 would be more practical. If anyone shares this view, please reply here and we can amend the motion. 10,000K allows no capital improvements and no salary coverage beyond subsidized student grants.
Thank you. Don?
Just in support of that comment, I'll give you one example. Our church has been just faced with having to update our fire panel. And our building isn't ancient, but the fire panel needs to be updated and replaced. And it's like $20,000 just for the fire panel. We had to do the roof. That was $40,000. We did an accessible ramp. That was $10,000. You know, I agree that the 10,000 is on the low side. And I appreciate you only have limited funds, but I wonder what's possible.
Do we have any other question? Hewitt?
Thanks very much. Hewitt Holmes, Trinity St. Paul's. I'm grateful for the work that has been done. I am wondering, though, what goal are we trying to achieve with two things? One, a trial, when we have already done this work and this research. So why do we need a trial period? That's the first question. What are we trying to test? When we already know that there are needs within the communities of faith and the context. That's the first point. Why don't we just go ahead? And two, I want to strongly oppose that $10,000. It's really unrealistic for congregations, in particular those that are within the city of Toronto, much less those that are elsewhere. And so I would want to suggest that we amend the motion. I would move to amend the motion to take away the trial period. I think it's unnecessary because, especially because we're using a structure that we have in place. I was hoping for a totally new thing, but anyways, I can live with the reality of using the present structure. One, so remove the trial period, and two, I would want to suggest that the cap be changed from $10,000 to, in agreement, to $50,000.
So, President, I think we have an amendment, and we'll just wait for Sue to get that up on the screen for us.
Yes.
While she's doing that, I'll just take this opportunity to just mention a procedural thing. We'll be voting by polls, and you will note that the polls don't include the motion, and that was intentional to allow for circumstances just like this, where perhaps a motion is being amended. It's easier to amend it on screen than to amend it in the poll.
Yes.
And Robin, the questions will be answered in the final comments from the ad hoc committee, but because we've now received an amendment, we have to deal with that before we go back and deal with the motion. But we will have the final comment. Are you wanting it before voting on the amendment?
Okay, so the questions will get answered before the final vote on the full motion. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's fine.
Thanks.
So Jody, could I just have some help about the second part with removing the trial period? What wording would you like gone? And then by touching the 300,000.
So my understanding is that you would remove the word pilot in the first line. And then end the motion after the word fund. Now, this is an amendment that was moved by Hewitt, right?
No, I'm going to move it down.
Yeah, okay.
So, Jody, there was a question in the chat that after the amendment for the grant to 50,000, does the 300,000 so is it realistic, or that the motion will also increase that figure?
So the amendment that we got from Hewitt didn't speak specifically to the 300,000. So I can't answer that. At this point, it would remain the 300,000 unless someone, and David Leighton Brown also asked if the cap is for capital grants or for both capital and program grants.
Okay, I think he would want to make himself clear. So
yeah.
Yes, thank you. I really didn't speak specifically to the 300,000 because it's actually not in my radar any at all. I would want us to have a motion that is for a capital grant of a max of up to $50,000. And there is no $300,000 at all in my radar. So there's no trial periods. The $300,000 was linked to the trial period, if my memory serves, if my reading of the situation is serves me right.
Well, no, I mean, the 300,000 is what has been approved by the finance committee and the executive to put into the budget at this point for the program. We have to have a budget amount.
If that is the case, then Jody, then I would suggest that if we're going to increase it the amount by 40,000, then we should do the equivalent that would make it just about, I would say about anywhere between 750 to $1 million.
So that would be 10,000 for program grants, Sue.
Okay.
And 50,000 for capital grants.
okay, and I think the original motion movers and the seconder would like to speak to the amended motion. So we will give the opportunity to Sarah and Daniel to speak to it.
The only point I wanted to make was, Jody, perhaps you can explain the $300,000 that has been approved for 2026 and the reason why it's $300,000.
Sure.
And that might explain why we are where we are and why it might change for next year.
Yeah. So when the finance committee were approached about adding funds to the budget for this, they're certainly supportive of the granting program. But I mean, part of their role is to ensure that there will be funds for next year and the year after and the year after. And so they set a $200,000 budget for this, but then the Grants and Mission Support Committee didn't use the full amount that they needed, and that left an additional 100,000 to be added. I will say honestly that if we raise this to $1 million, that has a long-term impact on what the grants will be next year and the year after and the year after. And so folks just need to be aware of that you may get a grant this year and then there may not be money in a couple of years. And so I just think you need to be aware of that.
Okay. Daniel, you want to add, or we can go ahead?
Yeah, I think that Jody has named the fundamentals of the issue. We have leveraged the assets from a property sale from Jubilee to develop the Jubilee Fund and are encroaching on the capital of that a bit in the 2026 granting program that we'd proposed. If we distribute more of the funds from that sale in 2026, we can, but that will mean that the capital that is accumulating in that granting fund will be less and will grow more slowly. And so we, the committee recognizes that there is a need for funds at this time. That's why we're recommending that we do include some encroachment on the capital. But yeah, I think that we are trying to balance that immediate need against recognizing that our collective assets aren't limitless, and that careful stewardship of those resources will enable us to ensure that there are funds available for congregations in 2027 and 2028 and 2029. And that's the goal of having a marginally less dramatic limit at this time.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we have Charles.
I'd just like to point out that a grant is usually only part of the support for a given endeavor, program, or project. Often a grant early in the program encourages other sources to be utilized. And I don't think we should be looking at this as what the totality of the cost of a program or capital expense may be, but only to demonstrate support to as many congregations as possible. And I would suggest that on that basis, the amendment be defeated.
President Eric, Lisa Walter had her hand up previously.
Oh, Lisa, please go ahead.
Thank you. I don't actually want to, I don't agree with the part of changing the amount of the whole fund. I think the people who have considered this have said we can afford $300,000. I think that's a reasonable prospect. What I want us to do is to stop making a million little grants and a million little pots of money all over the world. It is so inefficient of our time and labor. It's just crazy. So I'm really happy with five or six $50,000 projects that are reasonable contributions that can be made. So the amendment kind of got away on me, but I'm not in favor of increasing beyond $300,000. But I am definitely in favor of increasing the grant cap to $50,000 for both capital and operating grants. Can we please stop the madness of like 100 little tiny projects?
Thank you very much, Lisa. We have David.
Thank you. Earlier I tried to put my hand up and ended up applauding. I don't know what I was applauding, but I hope it didn't seem too inappropriate. I just wondered, and I hope that I didn't miss this, if the committee could explain why they came up with the 10,000. The 300,000 has been explained, but why the $10,000 number?
I don't know if Sarah or Daniel want to speak to that, or.
I thank you. Thank you for the question. I think when we discussed we first knew the budget. So we knew our budget was either 200,000 or 300,000 or 200 plus 100,000. And I think we wanted it to be realizing that this is not possibly, as somebody else said, it's not possibly the only place where you're getting funding for something that you're either a capital or a project that you're working on. We have also, as Jody explained, kind of added on the website kind of a one-stop shop of where you can try to get your additional funding from. But we wanted to make it as available to as many congregations as we could. So that was where we initially had a limit of 5,000 and realized that was nowhere near enough. And we realized 10,000, doesn't buy a new roof. However, there are other places where you can get grants or loans for a new roof, particularly. So that's what we went with. I don't know if anybody else wants to chime in from the committee.
Yeah, I think that one of our rationale for framing this as a pilot project was not because we were imagining that we would cease offering funding to congregations in 2027. It was out of a recognition that we were trying to build out a new program or transform our current program in terms of granting opportunities, and that we were trying to do so quickly, and that we could budget for $300,000 worth of funding in 2026, but that our hope was that the proceeds from the sale of church properties would contribute to the growth of that granting fund, such that at the end of 2026, we would be able to say, excellent, here is our larger number for 2027, with corresponding increases both to the maximum and to the actual dollar value of the grants available to a given congregation. And so the $10,000, $300,000 cap was based on the budget that we had available, and was a test. How could this program be implemented effectively and broadly to have a meaningful impact in congregations across the region, to enable us to develop it further into the next program year.
Right. Thank you. We have 3 hands, and I think that due to time constraint, we will listen to the 3 and move on from here. So, would you mind if I start with Melody, come to Menk, and you end it? All right, so Melody.
So I'm only going to draw people's attention to the chat, which is being used as a chat. But there's also a few questions in there that should be part of the response for the ad hoc committee. Ralph Birch has asked, what is the answer to the question, are operating expenses eligible for a grant? There's some conversation around some of the conversations surrounding both the amendment and the initial proposal. So I'll invite people to take a look at that rather than taking time to read through.
Thank you very much.
This is a question to the committee.
Yes, go
ahead. That would be, my name is Nenka Jonkint, and I'm with Bloor Street United Church as a layperson. If the 300,000 is the cap for this year, perhaps there needs to be some wording in this motion or the amendment that acknowledges the monies available for any given year to be within the budgetary limitations of the region. And I'm not sure how that is calculated, so I can't provide the exact wording. Perhaps Jody or one of the other staff people can assist with that. Thank you.
Thank you. And Hewitt, can you end it for us?
I hope I won't end it. I really think that the $300,000 is not adequate. I just did a little bit of calculation. With the 750,000, if 20 congregations applied, each would not even get $50,000. Just so you to know that, the practicality of it. And if you want to reach a large number of congregations, as Daniel suggested and intimated, 20 congregations is not even a quarter of the number of congregations within this region. So let's get the math right, as my math teacher would say. The other thing is, I think there seems to be a disconnect with what the original intent was for this granting system. It was to help congregations to meet their immediate needs as it relates to program, operating, and even capital expenses. And I'm just hoping that we will do that in this decision making. And that's why I'm not in favor of it being a trial, because we know what the needs are. Let's meet the needs. And I think $300,000 is not adequate when you do the mathematics. And I have a little concern well, let me phrase it differently. The Finance Committee does make recommendation to the court It is the court that makes a full decision for us to know that.
Thank you very much. At this time,
President,
sure.
I apologize for interrupting. There have been a number of questions in the chat about property sales in 2023 and 2024. Would you like me to answer that?
Please do.
Thank you. I'm going to just share my screen because I have the information about our property sales for those 2 years available here. So you'll see that in 2023, we sold 3 properties, Sandhill, Minising, and West Ellesmere. West Ellesmere was the first. And so you see the list, the sale price at the top. Sandhill chose to take advantage of the option to make legacy donations. You see here the amount that came to the regional council. And then you see that as per our property fund, we topped up the Indigenous Ministries Fund and the Regional Fund and the archives, which means that at the end, there was $11,000 that just went into the general fund. In 2024, we sold 3 properties, Cheltenham, Archery, and Heritage, which were part of the pastoral charge of Severn Shores. And you'll see the total sale prices and holding costs. In this case, both pastoral charges did do some distribution of funds. So you see Cheltenham did the legacy donations there, and these are the legacy donations for Severn Shores. And then after we topped up the Indigenous Ministries Fund in the region and the archives funds, there was $2,600,000 there. And we didn't need to top up either of those funds from Severn Shores because they were at their caps. So these are the funds that are available, and I think you see them reflected in our investments. Thank you, President.
Thank you, Reverend Jody. So at this time, I'm confused. Maybe I'll have to invite our parliamentarian because the amended motion is still not seconded. Does that mean it's still in place? So I don't know, Reverend
yes, I think we need to ask for a seconder, and if there is not a seconder, then it would be dispensed with. If there is a seconder, then it needs to go to a vote.
Thank you very much, David. That's why you are the president emeritus. Okay, so at this time, do you have a motion to amend the existing motion? Can somebody please second for us? If there is a seconder for that motion.
Sorry, can you just put the motion back up so everybody can see it? Thank you.
So the motion is clearly posted.
So Ross Carson has his hand up, President.
Yeah, so Ross Carson. Ross, you have your hand up.
Are you seconding it, Ross?
Yes, I'm seconding it.
So
yes.
the motion
Heward,
by...
I think it's important to make it more realistic. I would second the motion.
Okay, so David, please come to my aid again. So at this time, are we going to vote on the 2 motions, or we are going to vote on the amended motion?
No, we need first to vote on whether to approve the amendment to the motion. If it is passed, then you would vote on the amended motion. If the amendment is defeated, you would vote on the original motion.
Thank you very much. So, members of Shannon Waters Regional Council, we have the amended motion in place. And at this time, those who are eligible voters, that is, the ministers in the Regional Council and the members who are lay or ordered that are ready and available to vote. We were using the pool to vote to either accept or not to accept it. So please vote using the poll that is about to show on your screen.
Whoa. Who did the poll? Excuse me, sorry.
It ended? Okay, so can we repost the poll, please?
Am I understanding that this is a vote on the amendment?
That's correct.
Yes.
Thank you for clarifying that, please.
Doesn't look like any more vote.
Mm-hmm.
President, I believe that the poll has been closed, and we
All
do not
votes.
have we
Sorry.
don't have anyone on the phone.
Yes.
No. So all votes are counted, and 26 for, 33 against, 9 abstain.
Members of Shannon Waters Regional Council, the amended motion is defeated. So we will move back to the original motion.
Could we, sorry, Eric, the correct way to describe this is that the amendment has been defeated. Now you go back and you vote on the original motion that was moved by Sarah and Daniel. So just the amendment has been, that's the correct phrasing.
Thank you very much. The amendment is defeated. So now we will go back to the original motion by Sarah and Daniel.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Hi. Now in the amendment, it still says pilot program. Is this still a pilot program? I mean, not the amendment,
So the motion now has it as a pilot program. I think, if I may speak to, well, actually, I think it's Sarah who'll speak to it.
So we would go back to voting on the original motion. I think the reason we had intended it to be a pilot is because that number 300,000 is not set in stone and our methods are not set in stone. We are open to be flexible. And so maybe pilot sounded like it was too tentative. That's not the intention of it. The intention is it's new forms. It is a new grant. It did not exist before. We are just having it approved in a similar way to the way grants and mission support were done before. But it is a new grant. So this did not exist before. So I think that's why we use the words pilot for next year. This is probably, the fastest we've ever done something like this before. And so we tried to be very mindful of that process. And that's why we said pilot. It doesn't mean we're going to, throw it away with the dishwater. It just means we might amend it for next year. We might amend the forms. Those all have to be approved. And we might amend the cap, and we might amend the cap. The cap of 300,000 could very well change because it would be interest from the Jubilee Fund. So that could definitely change, but that just happens. That just will happen with interest. So I think I would like to put forth the motion the way it exists. That's what I would propose. I don't know if Daniel has any other ideas.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Melody, you have your hand up.
Yes, I'd just like to again draw attention to the chat. Now that the original motion is on the floor of the court, the question is now to have answers and discussion related specifically to this motion. I believe, as I'm reading the
Thank
chat.
you. So Dawn, we have your hand up.
Sorry, President. Lisa had her hand up first.
Oh,
Lisa Walter.
sorry.
No problem.
Thank you. Dan or Sarah, is it possible that raising the amount to $50,000 could be a friendly amendment? It certainly doesn't preclude a $10,000 proposal, and if there is a project that can be done for $10,000, that's wonderful. Would you consider a friendly amendment so we don't have to go through the gruesome process of a poll on just changing the dollar amount of the grant cap from 10 to 50?
I think I'll say the proposals we put forward were not just written by us, but our whole committee. So I think I would be certainly comfortable with you making that amendment. But I think in good conscience, we should make you go through the whole gruesome process. Mr. Chair, I also would love to have the opportunity at some point to answer some of the questions that have come up and to give Sarah the opportunity to do the same. I think we are also wondering about when the appropriate opportunity for us to do that would be.
All right, thank you. I had Dawn hand, so after Dawn, if there is any question that you want to speak to. So Dawn?
Sorry, President. Before we do that, there's a point of order in the chat. We already defeated the 50K idea, so we cannot bring it up again during this meeting.
Thank you. Okay, so Dawn, please.
Oh, I thought you had to rule on the point of order.
Yeah, I
first.
think we need to thank you, Dawn. I
Yes.
think we need to hear from David on the point of order, Eric, before we can move on.
Okay.
There is a complicated answer. The amendment addressed more than just the 50,000 amount. It contained a number of elements. It is certainly true that the movers can alter the motion if they are so minded to do. There cannot be another amendment identical to the one that was defeated. It is procedurally possible, and I hope we will not do it, to take simply one part of the previous amendment, and that could be moved again. But I think that the mood of the court was clear. That does not sound like it would be a fruitful course of action at this time.
President, I think we can move on to Dawn's question now if you want.
Thank you, Reverend Jody. Dawn, please.
Thank you. I just wanted to support the idea put forward by Janice, me, and Megan, sorry for my pronunciation, about using the term inaugural rather than pilot. Maybe that would help people a little bit. Perhaps that could be a friendly amendment. It's not a financial change, but just a wording to show that this is a new program and we're in an evaluation year. That's it.
Thank you.
Sarah, I'd consider that a friendly amendment. I think that's closer to what it is that we were originally intending, but I'd be curious to hear your opinion.
Yeah, that'd be fine with me.
Dawn?
Hi. Daniel mentioned that in future the amount of the cap, the $300,000, might be changed depending on whether property sales would increase that Jubilee designated fund. Right now, the fund is at $1.87 million. And I guess I wonder what the priority is going to be on property sales going forward to fund that, as opposed to the Regional Reserve Fund and the Community Ministries Fund, which needs to get up to $10 million before other funds go to other places like PTCC and so on. And I'm speaking as a board member of PTCC on that question. So I would like a little clarification on that if I could. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we have exhausted the debate. We are almost at 44 hours. Please permit me to move on to the vote so that we can address the other issues.
I think we should ask the mover to make their closing comments and respond to the questions and move into the vote.
Thank you very much, David. So at this time, I will ask Sarah and Daniel to make their closing remarks with regards to other questions, if there are any.
Go for it, Sarah.
I think I have answered the question, how is this different than other granting? I think we've already addressed that. Our intention is that it is for capital and projects and not operations. And that was very particular a decision. And capital exceeding 10,000, that was a question. We knew full well that 10,000 might not cover an expense, but we knew that there were other places where you could either get another grant from or get a loan from for a capital expense. I don't know if I'm missing a question. I don't know who was Melody. I don't know if I'm missing a question, or Daniel.
So we also got a question about from Sandy Giles Byrne, and asking about the principles guiding the funding with broader ministry priorities. Yes, that would refer to the deep spirituality, bold discipleship, and daring justice. It'd also refer to the rest of the priorities that the region has articulated in this last year's priority setting exercise, and past work that we have collectively done articulating our mission and our ministry. We also received a question, I believe from Bart Boniface, about funding for programs or for projects that are already underway. And that's one of the details that we hadn't worked through in our work. And so I think that we will be deferring that to the implementation done by committees after tonight's meeting takes place.
I can actually answer that question. So, and so I also am just coming off the Grants and Mission Support Committee, and we do fund programs that are ongoing. So if your program already exists, but it needs a topping up, then we can, you can certainly apply for a grant. I'm saying that we didn't say you couldn't, and that's the way it works for grants and mission support. So I don't know why it would work differently for this purpose.
I think just to offer some concluding remarks, this is a program that we're really excited about, and financial support for congregations was something that we heard loud and clear in our work. we recognize is a major need to congregations throughout the region, and is an important part of how we're stronger together as a collective. And so we're really excited to be able to implement this, and really excited to see where it goes in the years to come.
So I just wanted to make sure what we are actually making the motion for.
Please. I heard 2 friendly amendments.
No,
I
just
only heard
one.
one.
Just one.
This the inaugural?
Yeah.
Yes.
My mistake. Excuse me, everyone.
Thank you.
No problem. I thought I heard that earlier.
So I think, Eric, we can now
All
proceed
right.
to the vote.
You have heard and seen the motion before you. Only those who are lay or ordered members of the region may vote. For those using poll vote, please vote using the poll that is about to be on your screen. If there are multiple users sharing a computer, remember to please type your vote in the chat to Mustard with your name. Phone vote will be done shortly. Please vote now.
Point of order.
Yes, we do need to change the word pilot in the end of the motion to inaugural.
Yeah, it's corrected. So
okay.
Can we have the poll?
President, all votes are counted. 51 for, 5 against, and 12 abstain.
Thank you very much. The motion is carried. We will now consider the second motion related to support for congregations. It is moved by Sarah Lowe and seconded by Daniel Reed that Shannon Waters Regional Council take the actions to support congregations as outlined in the motion on the screen. Right. If you have questions or wish to speak to the motion, please use your hand or type in the chat. There will be a 90-second limit for each speaker. Please pay attention to the timer on screen. I might not extend any time due to our limited time constraint. Thank you. Anyone wish to speak to the motion? So since there is no question, Sarah, would you still like to make a final comment or we move on?
I think I've made all the comments that I would like to make. Thank you.
It is moved by Sarah Lowe and seconded by Daniel Reed that Shannon Waters Regional Council takes the actions to support congregations as outlined in the motion as seen on the screen. So those of us voting by phone, we can do so after those that will vote on the screen. You have heard the motion before you. Only those lay and other members of the regional council are allowed to vote. kindly post the vote. Sue, can you please post the motion on the
Yes.
screen again?
Sorry, it's also in the chat.
In the chat,
I will
yes.
post it right now though.
Right. Nick, you have your hand out.
Is there budget for this?
Reverend
It's
Jody,
actually
please.
incorporated into a number of different places in the budget. So, yeah, under the various commissions and yeah.
Thank you. Can you please post the poll?
Are we ready for the poll?
We're ready for the
Yes.
poll, please.
President, all votes are counted. 56 for, 1 against, and 5 abstain.
Thank you very much. The motion is carried. We will now move to priority number 2, support for community ministries, missions, and outreach ministries. I invite members of the ad hoc committee to turn on your video, unmute yourself, and take us through.
And I think Gloria.
Just waiting for the motion. Just waiting for the motion to go up. So under priority number 2, we actually had 5 recommendations, but the first 2 recommendations were affirming proposals that actually this council approved back in 2023, which was around the development of the $10 million fund to support community ministries, and also to affirm our commitment around providing educational opportunities and sharing best practices and that kind of thing. And 3 and 4 recommendation affirms existing granting programs and makes it an open process. So that brings us then to the motion that you see in front of you, which focuses on the final recommendation and correspondence from Fairlawn Avenue United Church, where they requested that we include both an external and an internal facilitator to go through a strategic conversations within the Greater Toronto area. So as an update really from the recommendation that we had at the September meeting, we have incorporated that request into this motion for your consideration.
Thank you. We have the motion. If you have any question or concern, please raise your hand and speak to that. We have 90 seconds. We have Jeanette and Victoria. So we take Jeanette and come to Victoria. Okay, Victoria, please start. Jeanette is still on mute.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm a rep from Fairlawn Avenue United Church. This is in response to correspondence that was tabled. We view the fact of doing a strategic conversation for the GTA to be very important. That's already been recognized by the court previously, and we want to suggest co-facilitators, one external, one internal. This is a big job, And we know how much the staff are very stressed already, and we want to see that they receive the amount of support that should happen to bring this project through to completion. And that is why we would also ask to have an external facilitator, not with any aspersions to anybody. There'll be internal facilitators as well. It's just that this is a big job.
Thank you very much.
And my question was, why did we need both? So I think we've got that answer.
Thank you. David?
Thank you. David Kimcraig, Minister at Richmond Hill Unit, St. Matthew's in Richmond Hill. I'm curious. I'm really excited about this proposal, and I'm curious who an external facilitator might be. Do we have somebody in mind for that?
We haven't identified a particular person or group yet. We'll certainly have to do some research to make sure that we find a suitable option. But yeah.
All right, thank you. I do not see any hands up, so I will call on Gloria to give your last comment.
Well, I don't think I need to say much more. I think it's been spoken to by others better than myself. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Susan, can you please post the motion for us? You have heard and seen the motion before you. Only those who are lay or other members of the region may vote. Okay. Andre, post the poll for us. You may vote.
Yeah. President, all votes are counted. 47 for, 2 against, 9 abstain.
Thank you very much. The motion is carried. We will now move to consider recommendations for priorities number 3 to 6. When we met in October, there appeared to be the willingness to move forward with these recommendations. So we are going to consider them in one motion. You have all had opportunity to review this motion on the website prior to this meeting. Okay, so we have the link in the chat. Please indicate in the chat to Mustard if you wish to have an item removed from the motion and considered separately if any 5 voting members request an item is moved. Okay, you have your hand up.
I'm really bad with alphabet soup. What is PTCC?
It's the Presbyteries of Toronto Conference Corporation. It's an external funder.
Thank you. Mustard.
President, there is no one who has written.
Then we will consider the motion as it is. It is moved by Daniel Reid and seconded by Alice Montague that Shannon Waters Regional Council take the action in the motion as shown. If you have a question or you wish to speak to this, please do so It's already 11 minutes past 9. So I will limit speakers to 3 if there are any.
Sorry, I'm trying to find my
Or if you then please speak up if you cannot find it.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask about 2A. Just is what else, or like is there other stuff included besides spiritual formation within United Church camps, or is there someone who can like talk more about what that would entail or what's included in that? Or not. I mean, it's not important. I was just curious.
Yeah, unfortunately, our Minister for Justice and Faith Formation is not with us tonight. And so she would be the person best able to speak to that. But if you are interested in knowing more about it, Diane, if you can put Sean's email address in the chat, I'm sure she'd be happy to talk about the vision that's emerging for support for children, youth, and young adults in the region.
Oh, yeah, cool. Thanks.
And President Hewitt has his hand up.
Oh, Hewitt, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much. On a very light note, I do hope that Daniel Reed will save these meeting notes for posterity, because I think this is perhaps the first time I've heard his name moving so many motions in a long time. So, Daniel, I hope you will save this meeting minutes. That's just a side note.
Thank you. Okay. Daniel, do you want to have a final comment since there are no questions?
No, just ask the question.
Thank you. It is moved by Daniel Reed and seconded by Alice Montague that Shannon Waters Regional Council takes the action in the motion as shown. We have all heard the motion and seen before us. Only those who are lay and ordered members of the region may vote. Please close the poll. You may now vote.
President, all votes are counted. 49 for, 1 against, and 10 abstain.
Thank you very much. The motion is carried. Thank you very much to the ad hoc committee for the job. You've taken your time, energy, and resources to present all these things to us. We pray that God will restore to you whatsoever you have lost through serving a regional council. At this time, I'll invite Reverend Jody Magby to present the budget for 2026.
Thank you, President. So this is, I'm going to be very quick because I appreciate that everyone is tired. You've done a lot. This is basically the same budget that you had before you in October with a couple of changes. You'll note the investment income is increased to $700,000 to reflect the additional funds from the Jubilee Granting Fund. And you see that reflected again down here. The congregational support from the designated Jubilee Fund as an expense. I do want to respond to Sandy's question in particular around the outreach ministries. You will note that beginning in 2028, it shows no expenses there. So we have 2 ministries that are their financials are currently managed by Shining Waters Regional Council. And that's because they don't currently have charitable status and are not able to manage their own funds. But we are working with each of these to become independent. and to be able to take on the management of their own finances, at which time their grants, which currently come to the region on their behalf, their grants will go to them directly, and they'll be responsible for their own expenses. So we're allowing a couple of years to ensure that happens, but that's why that particular expense decreases, because we anticipate they'll be doing that work themselves. So President, I'll entertain questions if there are any, but I don't feel the need to go through the budget in detail at this time.
All right, so we have the budgets as presented and shown. If you have any question, please shoot.
President
Victoria.
Jody, one quick question. The line item, which is development, which is 1.816, I think, that goes right across. Is that the money coming in from the development projects? And in which case, I think, why is it flat? Wouldn't it change and vary over time?
So that actually reflects the annual interest income that we're supposed to get from the regional trust, and we show it, but we don't. It's an account receivable. Also, President, we will need a mover and a seconder for the budget.
George?
Yeah, I have asked Jody this question, but I want the whole court to hear about it. The numbers keep changing from reporting period to reporting period. For example, in the fall of 2024, the proceeds from sales was 1.4 million. The CRA amount for the 2023 was 8.1 million, and in the fall of 2025, on the current sheet, it's 40 million. And I can show you discrepancies going from report year to report year and whatever's reported to CRA. They don't all agree with each other. And I'm very concerned about this. So I don't know what Jody didn't come provide me with a real answer as to why these numbers are changing from reporting period to reporting period when they should be the same. But
so
it would
part
be
of
nice
the
to get an
challenge
answer.
that we're facing, George, is that all of our 2023 and 2024 files are currently with the auditors. Janet previously functioned through paper files, and so those are with our auditors right now, so I don't actually have access to them. As soon as I get those back, then we'll see if we can get some clarity for you on that, but I just don't have the information.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We have Anna Hoskins moving and seconded by Lenke Jakan. It is now moved and seconded. We have heard the motion before us. Only those who are lay and ordered members of the regional council may vote.
Sorry, I missed who moved. I know that Ninki seconded. Who moved it?
Anna moved and Ninki supported.
Ann Hawkins, Sue.
Thank you.
And Ninki. So it's moved by the regional council accept the 2022 budget as presented. Can we please have the pool?
I think someone has a question. Victoria?
Oh, Victoria, sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you. I wanted to assist with Jody's answer on the prior question. And when you get the materials back, and if you consult with specialists in charitable and nonprofit law, you will find that the definitions of assets for the CRA form are totally different than what the auditors define as assets. And that causes this disconnect that George is highlighting. When you get that back, and if you consult with the auditors, and if you can consult with a lawyer who does this type of practice, you will find why there is this disconnect.
Thank you very much, Victoria, for your support and explanation. Can we pause the poll, please? We may now vote.
President, all votes counted. 54 no against and 4 abstain.
Thank you very much. The motion is carried. Thank you all for the time. I know we've run deep into the night, but people are still awake for the love and the joy in serving God. Once again, thank you. Having completed the business before us, I declare this meeting adjourned. I wish all of us a successful and a blessed season, a super happy new year, and a life full of joy. Let us pray. Loving God, we thank you for the gift of life. We thank you for the decisions that we have made today. We pray that you cause your angels to lead, guide, protect, and bless us, so that at the end, we will have a cause to praise your name. This and many more we ask through Christ Jesus our Lord, who was given to us as a gift. Amen. Thank you all for coming.